So, where is the balance? Our journey is to arrive at some kind of balance. So let's examine where did we lose the balance. We can consider it from an angle of sport, an angle of industry, and an angle of education. In an angle of sport, where will the competition stop? Do you know 100 years before, the Olympian, he clocked 100-meter race, almost 20 meters less than what it is today. I mean, today, if one could cover 100 meters in X seconds, let's say 9.5 seconds, then the photo finish 100 years earlier would show a difference of 20 meters. So that is the gap we have filled, or that is the extra running, extra speed that human race has acquired in a 100-meter race in the last 100 years. So this is what competition does to us. Perhaps it makes us achieve more. Perhaps it makes us accomplish more. But at what cost? At what cost does it do that? And do we need this kind of competition? And where will it stop? Look at industry. We have terminologies like the key performance indicators, or the key result areas. We have multitudes of metrics to measure these things. We have psychometrics, we have number crunching, we have information processing, and many things, all geared to make a person achieve more and accomplish more. We call it productivity or even performance. But at what cost? Where is the balance? And somebody excessively driven to achieve more and accomplish more in a specific field alone perhaps becomes so unifocal that is unaware and unable to switch roles or to do something that is warranted, something else that is required for him to do, because he's got a fixation and preoccupation that his skill set is limited to a specific thing to do. And that being the case, he becomes a professional, he becomes too good at it. At what cost? Where is the balance? He becomes so good at it, at a specific work, that he puts another 20 people out of work. Perhaps he amasses more wealth, he acquires more wealth, he accumulates more wealth, but to what use? Because this person, because of his fixation and preoccupation on key result areas and performance indices alone, perhaps has lost out on a lot of other things. But the danger is that he has put a lot of people off work. Secondly, this person got so addicted to the work that he's involved in that he now finds it impossible to take time out, to take time off from his work for his personal care. Now, does he need personal care? Of course. Everybody needs personal care for the mind, for the intellect, for the body, for the family. We need to do a lot of personal care. But this person is so fixed into his plan, he's embedded into his plan, and plan after the other, because it's become a habit to plan further, that perhaps he's not able to break free. He can't break free to do some personal care. So we need to have a balance, how to learn to switch off and learn to meditate. The restlessness to move forward, move outward, need to be balanced with the restfulness to move inward and to access the other realms that enhances our intuitions, enhances ability to be initiative, and brings solutions through innovations. This is visible even in education industry. Some of the students I know, before they could graduate, they have been convinced that the education must be linked to livelihood. And they're so persuaded that the education must be linked to livelihood that they have got very few vocations to choose from. They do not have a big basket, a wider scope of vocations to choose from to study, which may not be directly linked to livelihood. Some of them are so fixed in their field of study, but they just can't afford it, and that is when they fall into the next trap. They take a loan, an education loan. So before they enter college, the students are already debtors. They already have got a loan to pay. And now begins the next step called campus interview. Now they are got a fixation because to be able to pay off the loan, they have to pass an exam. Now this education system makes them to study so that they can pass an exam. It may not be pragmatic. It is just the ability to pass an exam, which is probably held in the end of the year, or maybe through semesters, or maybe through other evaluation and credit systems. Maybe direct grading, maybe marks instead of grades, or maybe another way of assessment. But whatever be the case, the education system allows them just to study so that they can get good marks and so that they can pass an exam. Because if they pass an exam, the next step is already ready, a campus interview. And they need a job now. At any cost, they need a job. Leave alone what they want to do, leave alone what they really wished that they could achieve. No, these are not important anymore to the student because he's now compelled to get a job quickly so that he can pay off the education loan. So he's already a borrower. So now he gets into the rut of new work, which is again geared to performance and achievements and productivity alone, that it's a vicious circle of productivity or work and borrowing and more borrowing and work. So where is the balance? That is why we need to learn to cut off and shut off and then take a month off perhaps and do some breathing techniques, some meditations and some skills of interaction with people, because over a period of time we become so professional, we become so machinized or mechanized in our interactions that we start losing the human values, the human touch to anything. It becomes so controlled with a system. For example, people just cannot deliver a service beyond a system. They do not know how to include a spontaneous service requirement into a system. Sometimes policies and rules become so overwhelming that service is compromised, because service requires a little personal touch. It requires spontaneous decision making, and it requires a dab of understanding of how the mind works. But the policies and rules of whichever bureaucracy, it could be banking, it could be hospitality, information technology, anything, the rules and regulations become so overwhelming, so overbearing, that an individual finds no sense in tweaking it or to adjusting it as per the requirement of the moment. So what is the consequence? The consequence is that people, they seldom are eager or interested in acquiring skills which are perhaps non-examinable, because they are compelled to acquire skills which are only examinable by other people to get the required social status, employment opportunities and livelihood. So we need to disconnect, we need to de-link our acquiring of skills, we need to de-link it from the direct connectivity to livelihood alone, social recognition alone, so that we can arrive at a balance. We need to understand the need to acquire skills which are just not unifocal, that we need to, or we have that potential to learn multiple skills. So on one hand we need to learn calculations, we need to learn assessments, scrutiny, evaluation techniques, the nuances of evaluations, and another metrics, a new grading system perhaps. But all along we can also learn some faith-based learning, some philosophical skills, some access to the dimension of inevitabilities, like luck, for example. How does it work? How does the luck work? So our investigation, our research ability should to allow us to scale and increase the scope of the topics that we have to investigate. Example, philosophy, art, other life skills, other interactive skills, and also how we manage our life, how we move along, how we dodge obstacles, how we are able to, without stress, of course, how we are able to perhaps tackle through obstacles and reach our more humane goals. This is a balance. Now, how to arrive there? We got to do a lot of research.